Moving can be super stressful, and moving with music gear can be even more stressful. There are so many ways to go about it, but the best thing you can do for yourself is just have a plan. And in this video, I want to talk about my thought process behind moving sort of a compact DAWless type studio with multiple pieces of gear, synths, and also some guitars, which I'll talk about on the side. So I'm all settled now, as you can see. I'll show you the new setup in just a second. But first I want to show you the old studio, kind of what I was working with and what my thoughts were. Things were kind of a mess. I moved this studio into a temporary space before I was moving to kind of have it in my living room for fun. But you can see the different pieces I have here. And one thing I had to consider is that I knew that I was going to get a new desk because I needed to use this desk for my now fully remote day job. And I decided to go with this kind of knockoff Vivo standing desk from Amazon. And I got a really long one. It's like 6 feet long by maybe 2.5 feet deep. I'll link to it so you can look at the different options. But it's really nice. It's actually really great for YouTube and filming. But I also wanted to be able to have a desk that I could play at while standing or sitting down. And I knew I would have this little nook behind me. So it was just a great choice to sort of fill up that space. And my studio is actually currently in my new bedroom right now. I love having my music gear in my bedroom. It reminds me of being in college and my first apartments after college, where everything was just kind of in my room, in my space. And it's just like the most cozy and creative and comfortable space in the house. Anyways, so let's talk about the actual move. I was lucky enough to be within driving distance of my parents' place, and I was able to store my guitars there, so I didn't really have to worry about those. I just took a trip up a weekend early and dropped those off. But the big concern is having some expensive standalone electronic hardware boxes and thinking of how to move those. In an ideal world, you might be able to keep all of your boxes for the products and just put them in those. They usually come packed with, pretty good either like paperboard or styrofoam casing, so you can stick those in there. But product boxes take up a lot of space. So another obvious option is getting specific cases for those instruments. And when they heard I was moving, Analog Cases was actually super kind and decided to send me a couple of their cases. I was actually considering picking these up because I'd heard really great things. And I ended up going with the Pulse case for Digitact and Digatone. And then one of these custom unison cases. Now, the Pulse case is really simple. It is, of course, just a kind of like a soft but hard shell designed specifically to fit the Digitact or Digatone and some cables. It's honestly like something that's perfect to throw in a backpack. And then I want to talk about the Unison case, which is kind of like a custom case. It comes with 2 layers of this soft foam padding that is called like pluck and pull. So you can take these kind of like inch by inch cube squares and pull them out to fit the gear that you want. It can fit a surprising amount in there, and they have a good detailed instructional video on their site of how to pluck and pull to fit your gear. And yeah, so I stuck my Digitact and Octatrack in there, and I left a lot of the foam unplucked because I just couldn't decide what I wanted to keep in there. And I do have a lot of other boxes for like my interface and stuff like that. So I want to use that as a gigging case and probably make some space in there for some pedals in the future. Yeah, these are super high quality cases. I don't know if there are any other companies that make a super wide variety of cases, but they have like a bunch of specific instruments that are perfect for like DAWless nerds. So definitely browse their website. I'll put a link below. It's not an affiliate link or anything, but I guarantee you that there's going to be something cool you'll find there that'll probably suit some of your needs in one way or another. So I recommend checking it out. And yeah, they proved themselves sturdy, and all my gear made it in the U-Haul unharmed. And now I want to show you the new setup. So I've got a lot going on in the desk right now. There's kind of some placeholder little stands and extra tiers here and there, but I definitely have some room to expand. This Mac is sort of the recording hub of my DAWless setup. I've gone on record before saying that I like to make music in the context of not using a computer for the creative and writing process, but then I like to edit a lot on a DAW, and I record everything in Logic Pro 10, so I have audio saved for everything. That's the centerpiece. Got my crappy monitors there, but mostly I'm using headphones because I know what these sound like and I know I can trust them. And then I've got my Electron setup with the Digitact and Digatone and Keystep, and the Octatrack, of course. And I have different project templates for MIDI routing for different songs, and I'm going to talk about how I utilize those in a future video about how I made my album. Something that I've always paid attention to but became especially important to me when I was planning to move my studio into my bedroom is cable management. And it's not perfect, and I'm going to clean things up a little bit, but I just want to kind of show you under the desk. The main tool I use here is, I don't know what they're called. It's like a cable management zip tie. One side is a sticky tab that you put on the other side of the desk, and then it has like an adjustable loop that you can just bunch up cables and sort of rest them in. I have everything plugged into this power strip that is mounted with command strips, which has a surge protector, obviously. That's a super important component that you definitely should be using, especially if you live in like an older house or apartment. When I was in Vermont, there was a lightning strike super close to my house and like half of the outlets got fried. Luckily, the room that my studio in wasn't affected, but if it were and I didn't have that surge protector, probably most of my gear would have been fried. They're relatively affordable and like a great fail-safe sort of insurance on your gear. Anyways, I highly recommend sort of using command strips to mount power bricks to the underside of the table as well. It's really convenient because they're not that heavy, so you can just pull off the brick part and reattach it with those interlocking plastic things on the command strips, so they're not permanently affixed to the desk. But there's always a place to mount it back up there easily if you decide you want to like travel with it and need to grab the power brick. I'm also still using this hutch piece right behind me that belonged to the desk that I'm now using as like my work computer desk in my office space. And it's just got some nice open shelf space for cables, cords, and other devices and stuff that I want to store but can just grab quickly if I need to. I think for me, it puts some pressure on me to keep my studio neat and clean and organized instead of becoming a rat's nest of cables, which it almost always does, because I want my bedroom to be a comfortable and cozy place. I really hope to get started up and running with making more music soon. It's always tough for me to get back in the mindset after going through a big transition like that. And after having just put out an album, I think my head is kind of buzzing a bit and I just needed a break from actually making music. I'm really looking forward to kind of sitting down and just starting a beat again. Let me know if you think there are other special considerations to make when moving with a studio. I realize that some people's studios take up an entire room and not just like an 8-foot strip of wall in the corner. And people are precious about their gear, so they want to make sure it's really safe. Let me know your thoughts about how you like to set your stuff up and any challenges you might have had, any big mishaps you've had while you're moving your gear, things that made you cry at the time but maybe laugh a little bit now. Anyways, that's it for this one. I will catch you next week. Peace.